Karen,
Yes.
you know how I love a good cheeseburger, right?
Yes.
Like-
I mean, who doesn't love a good cheese?
Right. Juicy, perfectly grilled, maybe a little bacon. Oh, and fries. Got to have the fries.
Gotta have the fries.
Right. Well, but what if I told you that what I eat could actually be affecting my chakras?
You know, that makes sense.
Does
Because
it?
it affects every other part of us,
Well,
so it makes sense that it affects the chakras.
It turns out that food isn't just fuel, it's actually medicine.
Yeah.
It's energy.
Yep.
Even more so, it's a direct line with our higher consciousness.
Well, that's what like calories and stuff. They're kilocalories, and it's measures of energy.
Because you know way more about this than I do. Oh my
Because
God.
I paid attention in 5th grade.
Well, to me, it sounded like one of those woo-woo wellness fads, right? But here's the thing. Our guest today isn't just another one of those eat this, not that gurus.
Oh, that's good.
She's a multi-international, best-selling author. She's an intuitive food therapist, an energy healer who spent her life uncovering the real power of food. And we're going to be talking about food healing and, yes, even how different foods can nourish our soul and align our energy centers.
Well, you know, food is my favorite.
And that's why I've been excited to have her on the show. So if my bacon cheeseburger is blocking my spiritual path, my spiritual evolution, I think I need to know.
I think you'd rather not know. I think it'll make you sad.
Dang it, you have a point. Well, anyway, you might want to know, so stay tuned because this one's going to be a feast for the soul. My name is Will.
And I'm Karen.
And unlike Mulder and Scully,
We both want to believe.
so we've embarked on a journey of discovery.
We've talked to people deeply entrenched in the spiritual and metaphysical world.
We've thrown ourselves into weird and wonderful experiences. I even joined a coven of witches.
And wait, you joined a coven?
Yep, all in the interest of finding something
Anything.
that will prove that there's something beyond this physical,
three-dimensional world we all live in.
This is the Skeptic
Skeptic
Metaphysicians. Hey there, I'm Will.
And I'm Karen.
And welcome back to the Skeptic Metaphysicians. Karen, today I'm so excited about this
Yay.
guest. You know why?
Why?
Because she's redefining the way we think about food.
Oh, I like that.
I knew you would. It's not just about nutrition. It's about energy. It's about vibration. And it's actually about whether food can actually influence our spiritual awakenings and our consciousness expansions. If that's the case, we need to know.
Yes.
Right? Well, she's got a degree in food science, dietetics, and nutrition, plus certifications in food healing, theta healing, and EFT. She's bringing both hard facts and deep metaphysical wisdom to the table. She makes healing delicious.
Oh, I like that. I like anything delicious.
Who doesn't want to learn how to nourish their soul through food while enjoying what they eat, right?
Yes.
Now, she's created oracle decks, books, and retreats to help people unlock their body's intuitive connection to food. She's bringing practical tools that we can use today, whether it's how to feed our chakras, how to use food for emotional healing, or to break old patterns around eating. She's got real actionable insights to help us transform our relationship with food.
I'm going to say, as soon as you said food retreats, everything just shut down. Like, food retreats.
Food retreats.
Yes.
So yeah, I'm excited about this episode because it's about to change the way we all think about what's on our plates and maybe even what's blocking our spiritual growth. I'm thrilled to welcome the incredible Lainey Sevante. Sevante, how are you doing today?
I'm great. I can already feel this is going to be one of my favorite interviews.
Yay.
Get off to a good start. Very delicious.
Cool. Well, I mean, how can you go wrong with talking about delicious, spiritual, enriching foods, right?
I know.
The only way you could go wrong if you're not eating the rich, delicious foods that are from Mother Nature, right? If you're focusing on the inner aisles, that's when things go a little bit amiss.
Okay.
Yes.
Our true consciousness.
So then I'm assuming that my juicy, delicious cheeseburger with bacon on it and fries does not quite qualify for spiritually enriching foods.
I think that would be on the list. I hate to tell you. Sorry.
Oh man. Okay. Well, how about pizza?
Oh gosh, pizza. Well, I had a gluten-free caprese pizza the other day, and I have to say it was really great.
Oh.
I don't eat gluten, and it was just really nice. So I kind of modified it, and I got away with it. But in general, no. I would say that let's stick to these sort of fruits and vegetables and these herbs and nuts and spices, something like that will really get the body rocking. All those chakras and everything else.
Sevante, you're putting a big damper on my food here.
I know, I'm
So no
sorry.
grains.
You know what? Everyone can do grains, not do grains. That's really up to them and their own individual body. What I do is teach intuitive food therapy. So they need to trust their gut. Is this an alignment for the body? That's the whole idea, is starting to activate your own intuition and seeing, is this for me? Interestingly, I'm on a kind of a gluten kick lately. It's because even I've been consulting clients for years, and I just know, like, you should be doing this too. I just heard that you should be doing this too. And it's like, no, I love my breads. I love my pastas. And I was like, I'm ignoring you. I'm ignoring
La
you.
la 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 la.
Nah, ham and cheese, ham and cheese. I hear nothing. And then literally, speaking of retreats, I just took 28 people to Costa Rica, and I had like 5-star Michelin 3-course meals all day long. And it turns out this year that everything was gluten-free and vegan. So I ate gluten-free, and then I brought back a colleague who had been gluten-free back to where I lived for 10 days. So I ate how she did. And I can't believe the difference. Now it's been about 6 weeks, and I've seen zero joint pain, gone, inflammation, gone, bloating, gone, weight loss down. And so I'm sort of on this really understanding that, I had to be forced a little bit into it, but intuitively I knew. When you don't follow your intuition, that's where everything sort of, takes the wrong path, exit stage wrong.
Well,
And
but that's where there's a disconnect, because my intuition is telling me eat that bacon cheeseburger.
No,
Right?
that's not your
right,
intuition.
Are you sure?
right.
I'm sure.
Well, well,
What would you call that? Well, maybe that is having to do with something emotional. Maybe that has something to do with where you're at in your mental frame of mind. Sometimes it's the comfort food, the safe foods, the foods that go right back to a pattern that makes us feel like that's our normal, when really sometimes the old normal is not the new normal, and our body will start to give us hints, like things will start to break down, you start to not feel that great, or you go and get some blood work done, and you kind of see that, wow, as time goes on, our bodies require different things.
right.
But what we mostly need to require is listening inwardly and seeing, what is it in this moment, and what is, when I do crave something, what does it mean? And that's where I come in with a little bit of a guide of what some of these foods mean when you are craving them or being drawn to them.
Well, that's a great point, actually. Yeah.
And I think we are so accustomed to certain types of food that it's like, people lose, I don't know, knowledge or awareness of what actual food tastes like. I mean, I love fresh tomatoes or carrots, but they get boiled and chopped and mixed with everything and tons of salt, and you're eating, it's red, it tastes kind of tomato, but like, oh, it's okay. But then you take an actual tomato that you just plucked off the plant and eat it, and it's incredible. It's so
Yes.
delicious. And I think that's one of the reasons people don't like vegetables, because you get them out of the can, they're all mushy and gross and gray looking, and and I do understand that times are tough, and those ones are less expensive. So I guess you're getting something. So I can appreciate that. But boy, if you go back to just the real fresh out of the ground fruits and vegetables, they are amazing.
Amazing. I'm preparing. I just announced it, but we'll be doing a retreat to Sicily next year, and we chose a specific. We have a few spots, but I chose a specific 17th century farmhouse, like in the middle of nowhere,
Good
on
God.
You're killing
on
me.
and they have acres or hectares of acres and acres of their own farming, their own organic farm, tomatoes, and they actually grow their own wheat and olive oil, and everything being prepared by the chefs there
Mm,
for the retreat are
Oh my God.
from the land. And if you look at the pictures for this retreat, these colors are like popping off the pages. It's just
wow.
unbelievable. But that's what the body's calling for, is to really have those foods that are bioavailable.
Mm,
And so, and in the food healing oracle deck, and I know we'll get to that, but that tomato is our action card. It's our take action, that fiery energy, a fire element. It's that root chakra, like ground ourselves for health.
right.
So I can go on and on about every food, but that's sort of like the beginning of giving you guys some ideas of, like, when you say tomato, I'm
I
like,
say tomato.
yes, yes.
Sorry, I couldn't resist. I had to.
Of course. We have a T-shirt that says, kind of like the Elvis song, because the word is action. So we say less talk, more tomato instead of less talk, more action.
Right.
But anyways, we have a play on all of our
Oh,
words.
that's, I'm
Yeah.
listening to you and you're talking about Italy. And I mean, you probably don't know, but I have a cooking show. And I went to Italy to learn the language and to learn cooking. And like almost started crying when you were telling me about this experience because I probably won't go.
But here's the crazy thing.
Why? You should go.
Right, but Savante, here's the crazy thing. A couple of episodes ago, people who have listened to this show in the past, we had a psychic on the show who, after we stopped recording, we ended up re-recording because she was giving us a reading and said that within 18 months, we're going to be in Sicily. There's going to be a bridge, and we're going to be doing a show from Sicily. So it's kind of like a weird thing that you would just happen to come out and talk about this retreat
That is weird.
that Karen would love to go on in Sicily.
Love to go on.
There's too many synchronicities, so we're going to have to talk after this for sure.
Gotta find out
Don't
when
go
it is.
anywhere.
I was at oh, go ahead.
So the reason I said I wouldn't be able to go is because we have a 14-year-old and she's in school, and as much as I would love to just take off willy-nilly,
It's in June. It's in June. Just
oh.
saying. June 2026, what's very interesting, talk about spiritual alignment. I was at a Body, Mind, Spirit festival, and someone saw my sign about going to Costa Rica. Oh, I can't go, she says. And I said, well, what? She said, where else are you going? And I hadn't had it in my mind, but in that moment, I said, Italy. That's where we're going next. It just came out intuitively. And then an hour later, I meet somebody who says, I'm from Sicily, and if you ever need assistance in creating a retreat there, I'm like, I just said an hour ago that we're going to Italy. So now it's official.
The plot thickens.
We haven't been to
Right?
Sicily.
No, we've not.
You
I've not been to Sicily. No.
Okay.
All right, Savante, we're going to talk.
Do it.
I think we need to talk about a lot of things after,
Yes.
but we'll get
Okay.
into
I
it.
saw you had a long list there. Uh-oh, how much
There's
time
like,
do we
look how
have?
thick this is. There's like multiple pages.
Hey,
Oh my God, how many interviews? We have to come back and do this again.
I prepare
You
for my
do.
interviews.
I
So I
don't.
just want to make sure, because, there's nothing worse than, so what do you want to talk about? And then there's a long silence.
Why are
So
you
I am
looking at me
prepared.
when you said that? I don't say that.
No, I don't.
I can talk.
I'm looking for your approval, your agreement with what I'm saying.
So I agree. So I guess let maybe bring this back.
Okay.
Food and chakras.
Yes.
Let's talk about
Yes.
that.
Oh yes, that's really great. 'Cause, that is my passion. That's one of the main things. Actually, I have a whole little 7-book series coming out later this year
Ooh.
about that. Feed your chakras, because that is really what many people, especially in the enlightened worlds, the spiritual people just waking up, wherever you are on your path, everyone at least has heard of chakras. Some are actively working to keep them open, to energize them, to infuse them, and to work with understanding them better. And my practice is showing how sort of our physical issues do relate to the chakras. And so, yes, there's foods, not only the colors, of course, there's colors that match. I said red earlier with tomatoes and root chakra, and you can find yellow for solar plexus. You can look at foods like that. But what I've seen even more is that in where I have channeled, and I'm a fourth generation intuitive. I come from a long lineage. My great grandmother was the town psychic in Russia. I mean, literally, we've
Wow.
all been doing. I mean, I grew up as a child with tarot cards and oracle cards, but in my food healing oracle deck, I talk a lot about how foods relate to the different chakras, and they may not necessarily be the color. It's maybe the word associated on that oracle card. For instance, let's say bok choy. Bok choy,
Gesundheit.
yes, right? Well, funny enough, bok choy, although you think, okay, that's green, but bok choy is our truth card. So that would be our throat chakra, speaking your truth, expressing your truth. So not everyone, but generally, if you're just kind of like starting, and if you go and when you maybe look at my books a little bit later on, you will see that I am keeping the colors as close to the exact chakra color as they are, so people can really identify them right away. And there's plenty of food for each one of them.
Well, I like how you mentioned, I'm just taking over.
No, please do. This is your show. It's food. This is you. So I'll hang out and watch you guys talk. Okay.
Now, I like how you mentioned bok choy because it's not something a lot of people use or know how to use. It's absolutely delicious. I make it in soup. But what is another kind of lesser known fruit or vegetable that has like a big impact that you might start noticing things right away if you start incorporating that into your diet more?
Oh gosh, that's like my favorite one. I'm gonna say is soursop.
Excuse me,
Sour
what?
soursop. Is she? Yeah. Are you about to say something like, "Oh my God, like, or
I'm,
you?"
I'm, I'm just listening. I'm taking it
Oh,
in.
soursop is such an extraordinary. It's actually our miracles card. And why is it a miracles card? Because there's been so much research done about how it fights cancer. And literally that, I mean, there's study after study, not just on the woo-woo side, but National Institute of Health studies, thousands of them, maybe hundreds of them. But people are making food as medicine a reality
Mm-hmm.
for everybody. But yeah, lesser known foods, I would say, what is, people ask me all the time, what is soursop? What is durian? And so
It's
what
very
had happened
stinky is what it is, but
is repulsive, but so delicious. And so I decided after people asked me all these years, last year or year before, I took 10 of my top favorites, bitter melon, and I put them in a book called Top Exotic Foods for Natural Healing. And I looked at these 10 because they came up over and over again in my practice, people writing me who read the deck or use the deck. And I put it in this little manual, and then I cited all the National Institute of Health studies. I said why I love it, where you can get it. I don't want to give you a food that sounds so exotic that you're like, well, I don't need to fly to the Isles of Trinidad to get it, do I? So no, I give you places you can get it in the States or wherever you are, and then I also provide little excerpts from 4 to 6 National Institute of Health studies that people are really working with these. Moringa, they call that the miracle tree. I mean, that's revolutionizing Africa. I mean, there's just some amazing foods that are out there that people should be aware of, whether they get them at the Asian markets or
Mm-hmm.
Spanish markets or online. But food is really kind of like, on point now in terms of, making differences in people's health and longevity.
now
Mm-hmm.
you got my attention when you said that it helped fight cancer because I have a personal story about that. But so
Okay.
it's sour sop.
Sour sop. It also goes by the name guanabana. Guanabana. I'm sorry I'm not pronouncing that
No,
correctly.
it's actually mana mana.
Do, do,
I
do, do,
it's
do.
it's almost like that because I was corrected and my one of my students, she's from Mexico and she's like Guanabana.
Yeah,
I'm like,
wanna. Yeah.
I'm trying
Guanabana.
here.
Yeah.
Oh, I know what
Yes,
guanabana is. Yeah, okay. I mean, kinda, but I never heard it called sour sop. So
sour sop. I'm
it's
looking for it as we're talking.
oh,
Go ahead.
guanabana.
Wanna.
We used to have ice cream, guanabana
Guanabana.
ice
Yeah.
cream. Yeah,
Yep.
Yeah,
It's so interesting because
so good for
so
you.
many of these really incredible fruits and vegetables we don't really find here.
right.
We
Yeah,
have
Why
corn.
is that?
yeah, yeah,
We have
corn.
corn. Corn's bad for you.
And grain,
Yeah.
I
all the
know.
bad stuff, and
But it has
tobacco.
fiber. Corn has fiber.
That's true. Yeah.
So,
But there's a lot of foods here that are really good. Okay, I'm
yeah.
not finding it right away. But
Beets.
we will, beets.
Yeah,
Oh,
we have those
okay.
here.
Well, let's just talk about beets because that just passed me almost at the same time you said it. So,
Ooh.
yeah, so here's our beets
Mm-hmm.
card. So it's represented as the word grounding. So clearly you could see the roots. So that
Mm-hmm.
the color is red, so it's very much a root chakra color.
Has
We
that
want to
earthy
get
flavor.
grounded. I love beets. Very good blood cleanser. I mean, I know my one of my advanced healing food healing instructors said that he personally knows someone who uh, I don't know, 6 pounds, 4 pounds, basically juiced beets every day, and her cancer went into remission. I mean, I've heard stories, but beets are your best friend.
Mm-hmm.
She's one of them. And also, when you're feeling like you just need to like, okay, I've too much in my head. I need to really just ground myself in root vegetables. That would be great.
And so
That's like the king.
that must be where the term "go ahead and take a beat" comes from, right? Take a beat. No.
No?
Come on. Oh my God,
That
these
one
are
fell
jokes.
flat.
All right.
I know. I didn't even know how to respond to that
Yeah.
one. All right,
All right.
maybe.
We're
Can I
gonna
make a cricket sound?
bringing it back to spirituality and all that kind of stuff, because this is the Skeptic Metaphysicians after all. Food wise, I guess each one of the foods that you're talking about, right, that correlates with the different chakra. So you're saying eating these foods will help clear the chakra, or somehow how is it associated? You said it's associated with the chakra, but how does it affect it?
Well, these are energy centers,
Mm-hmm.
and food is energy. Food is frequency, vibration, and even has a megahertz associated to it. And so is the energy centers. So we are stimulating, we are energizing, we are opening them, and we are providing the sustenance
Okay.
for them.
So like energizing them.
Yeah,
Okay.
energizing the body. And so there are specific colors that match those foods. And so when we create intention, and if you look at, like, say, Bruce Lipton's work with epigenetics, and we're talking to ourselves, and our cells are harmonizing by the fact that his work shares that our cells have a consciousness.
Mm.
And so we are telling ourselves, like, I am healing my root chakra. I am soursop. I am make a soursop smoothie. I am drinking a miracle right now and intending that for my day. We are talking to our body with great intention, and the cells are listening, and our soul is listening, and everything starts to move with that higher frequency.
Mm.
And that's very much also aligned with the teachings of Dr. Emoto, the
Mm.
late great Emoto, who found that when he put words on water, he just noticed that under a microscope, the words showed a crystalline frequency that was either beautiful or completely distorted, depending on the word. So I said, you know what? Food is mostly made of water, and I truly believe that I'm going to put that same frequency on water into the food. And so that's how the food healing oracle deck started to come into being, that I'm creating a frequency around the word. If someone's trying to heal, or they're trying to release, if they're trying to get free of something, be more positive, be more abundance, they need to pause, they could look at what foods will help them align to those elements, those energies.
That sounds really complicated, right? So someone like me who is
Yeah.
craving a juicy cheeseburger with bacon and fries,
I think I know
obviously,
what's happening after this interview. That
yeah,
he's gonna be like,
we might be a little hungry,
I
but
know, right?
but I totally get that type of energy would perhaps make me lethargic, or feel bloated, right? It's just not. Everyone knows it's not good for you. I joke about it a lot, but I truly do understand it's not good for you. So it makes sense. It's energy is going in, and the energy is not good. It's bogging you down. So if someone like me who loves that kind of food but knows it's not good for me, I have no earthly idea how to make my food intake better. Not only do I not know, but I wouldn't even know where to turn to look for the right foods, because there's so much junk out there. So
Yeah,
I assume that your oracle deck is in your books is what
yeah,
helps with that.
it really does. What had happened is, uh, I've always been a channel. I've always been able to touch into the higher wisdom thinking, and I've always been passionate. And a colleague and I had talked about at one point back in 2019 that it'd be great to kind of merge all these worlds together, our passions, and to talk about food as a messenger, spiritual messenger, and what food has to say, because Spirit, Mother Nature, has already been giving us the signs prior to the food healing oracle deck. That's why foods look like the organs. That's why the walnuts look like the brain, and carrots and blueberries look like the eyes. There's been clues all along. So I just started to clue in more as to what's going on with heart. Our heart looks like the chamber of a heart is a red bell pepper when you slice it. A strawberry looks like a heart
Uh,
inside.
all right, I am this years old when I found out that there were that there were correlations. I had no idea. It makes sense,
Oh, you should see. I have
but
a whole presentation. Celeries look like the bones, mushrooms look like the ears. I have an entire presentation that I share with people that, hello, Mother Nature's like, it's right here. And so I just started to look at all these things. And then I just said, okay, I was in an advanced food healing course. And I've been doing this is like not yesterday. This is like 35 years I've been doing this. And so, but I was in this course and I just said, if I get through this course, because it was very food sciencey, very much chemistry related, and I thought, oh, I will sit down and consider it. So I took very simple foods. I took artichoke, I took blueberry, orange, and I just said, okay, Spirit, what would you want me to share with the world about these foods? And I would get messages and I started to write them down. And then I started to look at some of my passions and understand the correlations between the five elements of nature, which everybody bypasses because they think nature is only in the, going to the beach or, taking a hike and that sort of thing. But we are nature, right? So earth is our bones and air is our breath and fire is the chi, the energy that has every system in the body, cannot exist. That's why we burn calories. Everything's about burning. It's fire. Water is the water in our body and our blood, and spirit is our soul. So if we in this meat suit are earth, air, fire, water, and spirit, we need to feed it earth, air, fire, water, and spirit. So we start to look at the foods that supply those elements for longevity and disease prevention.
okay.
There you have it.
Looked like you had a question. No?
Yeah. Is that does that ring true for you? Resonate?
It
Light
totally
you
rings.
up?
It totally rings true, but it doesn't. It's still so. Your oracle deck would help us to put these things
Yeah.
together, or
So what ended up happening is that 60 foods were channeled back in 2019. The deck came out right during COVID in 2020. And people at that time, right in the middle of COVID, were like, "Oh my God, I'm scared. I feel fear." And I would say, "Well, I'm going to just start pulling cards from the deck." And I'd pull elderberry for immunity, and I'd pull ginger for feelings. How's everybody feeling? I have strength, spinach, and garlic for protection. And so I started to not only share what these foods meant to me, to others, and people started to really start working with the cards and realizing this is what's coming in. They read the spiritual message in the book, and not only is there a spiritual message, but there's also a practical gift, something practical about the food. And it just exploded into like 35 countries we're at,
wow.
That's
maybe more
amazing.
right now. Now we're going to be having it translated into Japanese. We just got that offer. So it's, and then 2.5 years later, chefs were calling, we want more food. We want more food. I'm like, oh my God, 60 foods is quite a lot to channel. But we did it again 2.5 years later. So now there's
Wow.
124 foods, and I'm working on my third deck. So
Oh, that's
there'll be,
fantastic.
yeah, almost 200 foods that you can access and understand when you pull something. What does it mean?
So I get that the energy that we consume or that we intake when we consume the food, it becomes part of us. And we actually have someone that we know that has an instrument that she can listen to plants and the energy
The
and
music.
plant music.
Yeah.
And so there's all this energy. So that makes total sense. And I can see how it would support our chakras, support our immune system, support our body. But can eating the right foods help us awaken spiritually?
Yes, they can.
There you have it. Thank you. Thanks for joining us. Okay. How?
I don't think you'd have, I mean, your show is asking those things. I mean, I think food is at every single event, whether it's a celebration, a
Mm-hmm.
funeral, a wedding, people choose comfort foods. All these things are awakening to joy. When we're at a wedding, we're celebrating our favorite foods. A birthday, oh, let's have their favorite foods tonight. If you look at it in that simplistic, what foods raise your vibration? The foods that bring you joy, the foods that bring your body happiness. And so spiritually, we want to look at foods that have a higher vibration. Foods that have, let's say, mango, chocolate,
I like
cacao.
both of those.
Yeah. Pineapple.
Hmm.
We look at foods that really nourish the body on the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual levels. All of those are here to awaken. And I'll just give you an example because I mentioned the artichoke before. So, do you like artichoke, either one of you?
Totally,
Yeah.
absolutely, we love it.
Yeah. So, if you picture an artichoke, describe an artichoke to me. Let's just start there, and I will
It's
see if
like
I
a
find
lot
the
of
card.
leaves, like a lot of things.
Kind of shaped like that.
Yeah, it's like a lotus, right? And then you
Yes.
pull off the leaves of the lotus and you
Hmm.
eat it. That's the artichoke.
Yeah, the very end, and then you get
Yeah.
I
to the
love it.
heart.
So, would you say lotus is spiritual? A
Yeah,
spiritual representation?
absolutely. I would. Yeah.
So, the artichoke is our forgiveness card. And I want you to just see how I'm going to just kind of walk you through the idea of using that as a spiritual tool. So the artichoke is this beautiful lotus-like food, and it has many, many leaves with sharp thorns on it. And it's at the bottom of it, it's all protecting the
The heart.
Heart. Right.
so when we can go into forgiveness, because it's our forgiveness card, we can pull back those layers almost as a complete ceremony using artichoke. Those sharp walls that we put up when we're mad at somebody, when we're feeling less than, when we've been hurt, our heart's been broken, we clam up. And so when we're walking through a healing journey, we're like this, like with the artichoke. But when we can pull back those sharp layers and really start looking at the healing process, our heart can like open up and shine again. And that's literally taking an artichoke and moving it through a spiritual journey. And people, including myself, have used artichoke many, many times. And here's our artichoke card, forgiveness.
Oh, that's
It looks
beautiful.
just like the crown chakra as well, in
Mm.
addition to a lotus. But on the physical side, forgiveness is really amazing because an artichoke is very forgiving. Its pH is 13.99. So
Mm.
when we are mad, sad, in grief, rage, those are very low vibrational energies. They also create that acidity in the body. So when we can forgive, we're actually moving to a higher state of being by forgiving, and so does that artichoke, moving from kind of a toxic inside to a 13.99.
Gotcha. So then eating the artichoke would put you in the mindset of forgiveness, right? Or is it meant to be more of a symbolic relationship?
It's both metaphoric, and in this case, if you are intending that, just like any food that you can create intention, even your cheeseburger, like you could just say, I love this cheeseburger and it makes me feel great and I'm loving it, because it's much better to love it instead of eating it and saying, I know this is bad for me. I know this is gonna, make me sluggish, and you're saying that because I know you're jokingly saying that, but at the same time, you love a cheeseburger. And I'm really advocating that people should intuitively trust whatever it is they eat. They don't just have to eat nuts and seeds, but they eat it with intention to
Hmm.
love it, transmute it, and it's going to be much more simulated better in the body than I'm about to eat this cake. I know it's bad. I know I'm going to gain 20 pounds. And then you're like all mad and you feel shameful and all these terrible things you feel afterwards. Just eat the cake
Oh,
and love it and enjoy it. Eat this
Yeah.
cheeseburger. And then at other times, your body would say, you know what? I gave myself that beautiful moment that felt really great, and now I'm really ready to rock some nutrients.
right.
And you create the balance for yourself and call it good.
You know not what you have done,
Oh
Sevante.
boy.
You just, I was
All
ready
my
to,
work. No, I'm
I was
kidding.
ready to let the cheeseburger go, but now I'm like, hey, Savante, say I could do it as long as I eat it the right way.
I just think that there's learning to listen to our body and really understand how to transmute those. It's the intentions we put in our body, and I think that's what so happens so often is that people feel terrible. They know they're doing something wrong and they do it anyways. They're
Hmm.
like, okay, Monday I'll be better.
Right,
And
Yeah.
then Monday comes, they're like, you know what? I already screwed up. Let's just wait till next to the
right.
weekend.
Tuesday,
And it
Tuesday
goes
will be
on,
better.
right? It
Yeah.
goes on and on.
Wednesday will be better.
Yeah. But just really know that your body's a tape recorder. It knows what's up. And it's also why our soul is when you're at what should I get at the grocery store tonight or the farmer's market, wherever you shop, you're saying, oh, tonight I think we should have Brussels sprouts, or tonight I think we should have hopefully outer aisles.
Mm-hmm.
Tonight I'm really feeling like a fruit salad. I have this guide that allows you to say, I wonder what's in this, or I wonder what Brussels sprouts means, or I wonder what avocado means, and I really want that tonight. And you can start to see. And then in other ways, if you want to get out of a slump, you want to feel better, or you need more patience, or you need to accept something that happened at work today, whatever it is, you can actually eat those foods with that same intention. If you follow this guide, if there's other ones out there, great, but I know that this one really works and it's been very successful in healing like
Cool.
thousands of
So I guess the
people.
same thing could go for a Hershey bar.
Anyways, so I think, just kind of listening to this, I'm having all these little thoughts circulating through my head. And I think, food, it actually can even be not just the energy of the food itself, but it can be like a twofold, because whoever's preparing the food, like when I make meals, especially my favorite thing, well, okay, other than travel, but to do is I love when I make a meal and you and Sienna are like, oh my God, this is so good. That makes me so happy. And
Yeah,
Christmas, I love making Christmas dinner. I mean, it's a lot of work, but I love it. And I think when I'm feeling that energy is also going into the food. So you're
Right.
getting that energy too. And
100%.
and then also the foods on the outer aisle, they take more time to prepare. So if you wanted to make yourself a salad and you go and you get your produce and you're chopping it up, and that takes a while. If you go and you get the ramen and you pop it in the microwave, that's like a minute and a half. So they're also missing out on not just the actual nutrient or energy of the plants, but the energy of the person preparing it.
Boy, I feel chastised.
I that was actually one of my first uh, sojourns into understanding consciousness is when I worked for a very famous Hollywood chef, and there was an argument taking place. Oh, take it outside of the kitchen. In here, we keep things very, loving, very forgiving, very high vibrational. Music's playing, chanting, and there's just a whole atmosphere around, like singing to the plants, talking to the food,
Mm.
and it literally makes a difference. And that's why a lot of people who are very empathic or sensitives aren't going out to restaurants as much because they'd rather know the vibrational um, uh, energy around who's preparing the food because it can make a big difference. And you can feel it. You can feel it unless well, you don't know, or maybe you've read it, High Vibrational Wellness, which is one of my latest books. It's a collaboration of 25 authors. And one of the chapters, Angela Roy Medway Smith, she wrote how she transmutes food with prayer, and she walks you through a little bit of a tool on how to do that. So if you're in a situation of God, this feels off, or something feels off, there's ways to kind of transmute the food and kind of bring it into alignment, a little happier place.
Well,
Yeah, happy place.
yeah, I'm a Reiki practitioner, and I do, whenever I remember, I do try to Reiki my food prior to eating it, just
Yeah.
in case.
Just your food, though.
Yeah, hey, I've been trying to get you to learn Reiki for a long time. If you didn't do it, that's on you. No, but also, we just talked the love tuner, right? And you blow the 528 hertz into the food or to the water. That also helps to reset it and that kind of stuff. So
Yeah.
it makes sense. I'm starting to connect the dots about your intentions and how you're eating it, the energies inside the
The
food,
spirit.
how you create the food, how you're aligned with certain types of energies which correlate to certain types of foods. So I'm assuming that your books are a wealth of information for those who are trying to understand better how to align themselves with the right foods. Is that, yeah?
I think so. I think they help people. I think they make a huge difference. I've received so many people writing me saying that they just are really blown away by the teachings, and in multiple countries. Just the first deck alone, I said, is in 35 countries. But yeah, this last book, High Vibrational Wellness, became a bestseller in 7 countries because I think people can relate to all the stories, they can relate to all the tools, and there's an understanding that food goes beyond the food we put in our body. It's how we feed our thoughts, it's how we feed our soul, and we provide techniques for all three of those food outlets and talk a lot about, I talk in my chapter as what soul shopping is. Learning to get really present before you go shopping. Like, what does my body need right now? Like, maybe yesterday salmon was great, but maybe today salmon's not great, or vice versa.
Mm.
Salmon is very anti-inflammatory. It's great, and maybe you had an argument, and so now salmon was really so requested of the body. But the thing is that our soul shopping is getting very present. What does my body need in this now moment? What does our family need? We have a make a meal spread in the deck that people can say, "What do we want for dinner tonight?" And everyone pulls a card, and it's like, you make a meal together,
That's
and
cool.
you will be surprised how often there is complete, well, synergy. I did an event once, and everyone had lost a pet. It sounded like morbid, but it's like, really, all six of us? And what ended up happening is we're like, you know what? Let's come together and let's see what the cards say. We pulled a make a meal. We got rosemary for remembrance. We got ginger for feeling. We got sweet potato for support, and I'm sorry, butternut squash for support, and sweet potato for comfort. And we made a soup. But you can see, like, all the right cards were like what everybody was processing in that moment. I mean,
We need one of these decks.
We totally get it. Yeah,
We
absolutely.
definitely do.
That sounds
yeah.
awesome. Is there any, like, can you think of the biggest mistake someone might be making when it comes to, if they're trying to eat more spiritually or raise their consciousness? What's the biggest mistake someone can make to maybe lowers their vibration?
I think that the mistake they have is if they don't really operate from a place of neutrality, where they come in with emotionally invested. If they just allow themselves to, like, I'm okay with however this is supposed to be. I just trust the true alignment of my soul, and coming from a place like everything. Anyone should make a decision from neutrality, which is jicama, by the way. Do you know jicama?
Yes.
Yeah.
I
Yes.
love jicama.
Mm-hmm.
But really, I think people need to come from a place of non-reaction and come from a place of pausing, taking some breath, and really listening more. That's what intuitive food therapy is. It's almost like when you open up a refrigerator and you look to see, what do I want? You take your time and you look and see what is really calling for you. And wouldn't it be great if you did that and got a sense of what it is that you chose and associated with how you're feeling and see if there's a correlation. A lot of people keep food journals to get really clear of, like, did they have an argument today, or what's going on, or why do I keep getting that shadow card every Tuesday when I meet with so and so? I mean, you can start to see what foods are coming up, and it gives you an idea of how you can kind of proceed and change the course of action.
Wow.
All right.
Yeah,
Got a lot to think about.
A lot to think about.
yeah.
All right.
I'm like bracing myself.
I know,
All
me
right.
too. Ooh,
What's
this is quite a question.
what's coming next?
So we talked about how it's healing, how it helps us raise our vibrations and things like that. But let's dive a little bit further into the woo. Do you know, are there any foods that could perhaps help someone develop psychic abilities or astral project?
Hmm, that's diving a little deep.
Hmm.
Well, um, yes.
Ooh.
So, interestingly, we were writing the second deck, and the very last card was intuition. And I'm like, oh, snap. That can't just be like cauliflower or corn. It's got to be like the food. Like, what is going to represent the entire basis of what what is done here in my world? So I sat and got quiet and then got on the internet and did some thinking. And sure enough, Blue Lotus tea literally opens your pineal gland for intuition. I'm like, there's my card. I mean, it
Wow.
was amazing. It literally was like, okay, spirit, this has to be the food of foods. It cannot just be, like I said, something basic. It's got to be like what, and not only did it represent it, it was blue, third eye. I mean, it was just
Wow.
incredible. But it does, and I do drink it from time to time when I'm doing a reading or for a client. And it does open up the pineal gland. It does open up your clarity of vision for the higher realms.
Wow. Okay. Well, there you
Yeah,
go.
I know.
I know what you're looking
Woo!
for.
I
I'm glad I answered
know.
it. I do sell a lot of teas. That is my other passion is I import teas from Nepal to the
Oh.
Oh,
US.
nice.
Right.
Yeah, and they are all herbal infusions. They're called Nurture Soul teas. There's not a the Blue Lotus isn't grown over there, but the teas that I work with are cultivated from the base of the Himalayas, and they're all very preyed on. And we work with Tibetans and nunneries over there, and so we have teas of all kinds
Wow.
from yeah, but Blue Lotus isn't one of them. But I highly suggest that if you're looking. Are you wanting to astral project? Is that what I'm hearing?
Kinda, sorta.
Kind
Yeah.
of, sort of, with every ounce of his being.
Yeah. The problem is I want it too badly, so I'm trying to give it up because I'm not going to do it until I just give it up. So
You're gonna have to get someone on your show who's like the queen or king of astral projection and
we
give you all the
have,
insights.
and
You
it didn't
have.
help. So
Oh no. Oh well.
now, if someone wanted to completely redefine their relationship with food, but didn't know how to go about it, what would be the very first step they should do? Besides obviously getting your food deck and that kind of stuff.
My mother, my late mother, she just recently passed. When I was a child, she used the craziest thing. I've said this before in interviews, but her rationale for everything when it came to ingredients, and I'm getting at keep things simple, but hers would say, more than three, leave it be. If there's more than three on the label, it's not going on the table. And I'd be like, oh my God, did you just say that in front of my friends? She did. I was like sinking down in my table, and now, like, who do you think, raised my daughters saying the same thing? If
Mm,
there's, what I'm getting at is keep things really clean and simple and basic. You're not looking for things with 10 ingredients. You're not looking for things even with five, unless it's like a salsa and everything's really clean
Hmm.
inside of it. And so I would be starting with less is more. I mean, even people who are vegans, that's not the healthiest either. Plant-based, great. Whole foods, great. But, a lot of times there's so many vegan products out there that have 100 different ingredients. And a
Hmm.
lot of the things you see in these inner aisles, of course, are preservatives and things that are here to keep you going for 30 years. But I'm really encouraging people to just keep things simple. Like start off with like your favorite fruits and vegetables and herbs and nuts and spices and keep things really like, is this in my highest and best? Like really simple stuff.
mm.
And I'm not, it's not like just you have to go out and buy books. It's more of like, what does your intuition tell you? What foods are you noticing that you like? What foods are you noticing that you dislike? Start to look at them. But color is important and simplicity. Less
Okay.
is best.
All right. So you do retreats, you have oracle decks, you have books, you sell teas. Is there anything that you don't do?
I don't ski.
All right. Well,
I,
if someone wanted to reach out and access any of these things or any of the other things that you have,
yeah.
what's the best way for someone to do that?
Well, two things. One is we have a website. It's called the Center, not the Center for Intuitive Food Therapy.com. I've created a abbreviation because that's a big mouthful, right?
Yeah.
So that actually stands for CIFT, CIFT official.com. And I just recently created this really special platform. It's off social media. It's its own hive. I call it the High Vibe Wellness Tribe. you can go into this High Vibe Wellness Tribe for free, and I'll get to the link. And there's this whole community of people who love. I pull cards in there. We do readers club. We have meditations. We have classes and courses. Food in relationship to your zodiac sign. Food in relationship to tarot's major arcana. I have a lot of food in the archangelic realm. So I have a lot of teachings in there, and it's free.
Very, very cool.
Yeah.
That's
Hi,
awesome.
Yeah.
very high vibey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for what you do, for your service. That's
Yeah.
amazing that you do for
Yeah.
the world. So, Svante, this has been fabulous. I think we're going to be talking a lot more because
Okay.
I think I need to learn a lot more about this stuff because it makes sense. It totally resonates, but I don't know anything about it. So having
Yeah.
the expert in my corner, that's why we do the show. So,
Uh,
all right.
yeah.
All right. Well,
Thank you.
thank you so much for coming on the show. We really appreciate it.
It's
My
been fun.
pleasure. Thank you, everyone.